fans. I'm here once again with Alan Hinton, Unleashed. Beautiful day here at the training grounds for the Sounders, Alan. As usual, totally unrehearsed, no cue cards, no idiot boards, just Alan with his excellent opinions.
Well, I think it is a beautiful day. It's been a nice start of the year here, and the summers the last few years have been fantastic, but Sounders are practicing. 2 home games now for the Sounders, 2 games behind Dallas in terms of games played, but the bottom line with the Sounders is we've actually played 7 games. It's not difficult to see what the problem is. We've only scored 7 goals. And some people might say, well, we're missing Obafemi Martins. Well, we've tried to push that under the carpet a little bit by not saying, well, we'll do fine without him. Well, we're not doing fine without him. And people are now saying to me in abundance, how could the Sounders have kept him at the Sounders? And I say, well, they could have pulled his contract out and says, you're under contract for a year or 2. We're not going to trade you. But then the player might semi-go on strike, I believe he's getting $6 million in China tax-free. I think he was on about $3 million here, and the club could have played strong arm, but in the end he's gone to China, and we really, really miss him. And the fact that he went at the last minute after all the preparations in training camp was particularly sad. And then, of course, Dempsey, who plays so beautifully with Martins, is trying to get new relationships with Jody Morris, who's played 7 games for the Sounders. He's a local homegrown player, has now got 2 goals in the last 2 games, so that's very promising for him. But I would have to say at this stage, after 7 games, Obafemi Martins probably get 5-6 goals, and that would be the difference between the Sounders being in the bottom 3 or 4 in the West to being around the top. There was 2 highlights last week for the Sounders in Colorado. One was the penalty save by Stephen Fry, which was brilliant, and the other one, of course, was the goal by Jody Morris, who was quite an individual goal, and he hit it in the far post. So I do think the Sounders are going to turn it around, but Obafemi Martins, there's no point in saying we don't miss him, we've got to move on. Of course we have, but we miss him, and that's the way it is.
Alan, what was your reaction to Sigi's comments after the match? He was literally livid, and he said that there was no leadership on the pitch during that loss at Colorado. What was your reaction?
I think he's right, and I think Sigi is... I've played for a lot of coaches, I've been around a lot of coaches. Sigi's one of the most honest men I've ever met in my life. He likes his players, he knows the game, he knows how to pick teams. But leadership is something that, Ozzy Alonso, he's a leader. He's actually playing quite well. But you've got Ty Mears, who's a veteran right back. You've got Chad Marshall. I'd love to see Chad Marshall waving his arms around and saying, come on, let's go, and get the energy going. He's got 2 goals this year, Chad Marshall. But the leadership... But it needs to come from the front people. You've got Valdez experience, Ivancic experience, Dempsey very experienced. These 3 for me have got to grab hold of this team and lead us to a good position in the league and improve as a team as the year goes on. Because the Sounders have still got money in the pockets from losing Obafemi Martins as a DP. So I'm sure the Sounders will be waiting in the next few weeks when all the big league clubs around the world will announce their retained list, and I'm sure there's going to be literally over 100 players available, some mainly as free agents. The Sounders should be pouring over that list to see if they can find somebody that's really going to replace Martins if possible.
Alan, let's transition over to our last topic, and probably not the most uplifting topic, and that's a final vindication for the Hillsborough Liverpool families, the 96 of them. And I know that you have a lot of thoughts on this topic.
Well, I've actually played many times at Sheffield Wednesday, Hillsborough. It's the home of many, many semi-final games. This was Nottingham Forest against Liverpool in 1989. The fans who are absolutely in a frenzy because it's the semi-final. If you win the semis, then the final's at Wembley, which is a marvellous day out and a great soccer occasion for the families as well. But when you've got 96 people who go to a game and don't come home, and a lot of them are young people, One family lost 2 daughters. There's many young people who died. So this has been a nightmare for the families who have been trying to get justice for almost 27 years, I think it is, but it's taken a long time. But now they've come out and said that the 96 people were unlawfully killed. The police department are taking responsibility. I don't think for a moment the head policeman in charge of the security thought for a moment he was going to kill people. That's the last thing in anybody's mind, including the policeman. But he did order the gates to be opened, which was full inside, and of course the thousands of people outside marched in and pushed in, and then that was a terrible decision. And of course there's going to be all sorts of lawsuits now, but the euphoria from the families after all these many years, I think, some of the family members have been every day to the court, and I think there was 300 days of court hearings, so it's been a very thorough investigation. It's a pity it's lasted all this time, but now there can be some sort of closure that and they feel good that the truth is out. But the bottom line is a lot of their families didn't come home from the soccer game, and that's going to be a heartbreaker forever.
Thank you, Alan, for your comments, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay.